Welcome to The Wild Hair, the show where we talk about building a successful practice from strategies to the latest in new treatments. I'm trichologist and physician trainer Misty Barnes. My focus is on hair loss, but if you run an aesthetic practice or med spa or offer hair loss treatments, you know we're in the business of solving problems for patients. If you're a person with hair loss, you'll find some specific information that will be helpful on your path to wellness. Let's get started on today's topic. Today, we are going to talk about peptides and the role that peptides play in hair loss and potentially regrowth. So I deal with hair loss every day. This is something that I come into contact with people with all types of hair loss. And one of the things that I have found to be incredibly helpful is the use of peptides. So there are a myriad of choices that people have when it comes to hair loss options. Many of them, things like PRP. They can go the allopathic method, which is things like finasteride, minoxidil, dutasteride, depending on the sex of the patient. My choice has been to use peptides because I believe that they're a really great way to target hair loss. And it's actually a treatment that I've developed along with a biochemist to target those causes that are leading to hair loss. Before I get started on peptides, I just want to explain, hair loss is a very complex problem. As I like to tell my patients, hair loss is a symptom. It is not a diagnosis. So we have to look at it as a whole person problem. We want to look at the microbiome. We want to look at the diet. We want to look at lifestyle, hormones, certainly thyroid, the endocrine system, and then stress levels. There are many people that are suffering with hair loss and they don't really know why. So they'll go online and they'll, get something, they'll get minoxidil or they'll be able to get a prescription filled for finasteride. And it really isn't dealing with the internal problem. I do a lot of research on this, every day. And there's just so much more to it than taking a pill, getting a treatment once a month, even if it's PRP. We still have to be looking at the root causes to the hair loss. And so that's why I approach it as a whole person perspective, but I am very much committed to using plant-based peptides because I believe they allow us to target more than just say affecting the androgens through a pill that's going to be affecting the serum levels of testosterone. So let's start off with a definition. What are peptides? You probably have heard of peptides. They're in a lot of makeup. They're in a lot of products that we actually use on a daily basis. They are short chains of amino acids, and they are linked by peptide bonds. So chains of fewer than 10 or more amino acids are called oligopeptides, and those include things like dipeptides, tripeptides, and tetrapeptides. A polypeptide is a little bit longer, more continuous, unbranched peptide chain. And we are using, or why I'm using in the treatments that I do, of a combination of these types of peptides. So we're using polypeptide, tripeptides, straight peptides. And they've been around for a very long time. We've been using them. I, for instance, started using them at the very beginning of my practice with GHKCU, which is known for wound healing, also copper peptides. And while I found those to be incredibly helpful, I kept digging for a better approach, a more targeted approach to other things. While copper peptides are really helpful, it's not a one and done solution. We need to be treating things like cell differentiation, proliferation. We need to treat inflammation at the topical site where the hair loss is occurring. And we want to be targeting things like toxicity in the environment of the follicle. So without getting too incredibly deep into it, I'm using a combination of peptides that include, like I said, the polypeptides. We're using things like EGF and VEGF, which you may have seen in maybe some of your makeup or some makeup products. But what it is it's a combination. They've all been clinically tested and tried, and they're safe for application topically. And what we do is in the office, I use it with a medical microneedling device so that we're getting really good penetration and also increasing the blood flow as well as vascularity in the scalp. And then I have my patients use a treatment at home as well, because I tell them it's like exercise. It's not a one and done situation, and you need to be continually targeting that hair follicle. So what we want to do is, maximize the potential for the peptide itself. You've probably heard of other things such as PRP, which is another valid and often used by dermatologists for hair loss. I choose to not use PRP primarily because I believe it's not so easy to be able to determine what growth factors we're actually delivering or what fibroblasts we're actually delivering when it comes to treating a patient in office. So I moved from using a version of PRP to peptides with microneedling, and I've seen probably 1,000 patients, and we've seen really nice results. But it comes with other changes. We want to look at the thyroid, the immune system, hormones certainly, and specifically stress levels, and diet's very important. So what we do is we try to put people on a protocol of supplementation and looking at their diet health, their body's health. And if we need to make some changes and get blood tests, we do that as well. That's what trichology is, which is what I do. It's the anatomy and physiology of hair. And I want to focus on treating the hair, but also we can't do it in isolation. We have to do it along with a full protocol. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be a really expensive protocol and there has to be a ton of tests, but there are some key tests, which I'll share with you in future podcasts, really important key tests that we want to get done for someone who's suffering, say, from what we think might be androgenetic alopecia or, hormone-related alopecia. There are many types of hair loss, and there's no one solution fits all. So we want to tailor the protocol. But I have found across the board peptides to be very, very helpful. We also want to look at things like the gut and the microbiome, and again, stress levels. Stress, when there's a stressor that leads to hair loss, it generally isn't seen from maybe 6 weeks to 7 months after the trigger or the stressor. And it can take 16 weeks to come out of that stressor and to get the hair back to health. So it's not an overnight solution, and peptides aren't either. It's going to take time. And I tell my patients, we need to look at least 4 months, more likely 6 months before we'll start seeing changes, but we should be seeing some changes within 4 months. So the good thing about peptides is that they can be used with PRP in conjunction with PRP protocols. They can be used with, other protocols, which is why I like them. But I think the important thing is that we're doing something at home as well as in the office. So when I treat a patient in office, it's about a 45-minute procedure with the microneedling and the targeted peptides. And then I have them do a home version where they're using similar peptides at home in a prepackaged protocol. And they're doing that a couple nights a week along with a stamping device. Personally, I'm not a fan of a microneedling device at home. The rollers, the derma rollers, I don't like. They tend to cause scarring over time, and they create a lot of micro tears on the hair. I'm a proponent of derma stamping, which I use in my kits along with the peptides. And then I like to add other things such as massage. I have a kit with a massager, and we also look at cutting down the inflammation with other peptides. And then, as I tell most people, a shampoo is not going to really generate much in terms of hair growth because unless it has a lot of resonance or you leave it on for quite a while, it's really more about just getting the scalp good and clean. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on an expensive shampoo, just get a good cleansing shampoo. And then as far as a conditioner, that's where I find I get a lot more value for the dollar, because a leave-in conditioner can help hair move it into the anagen phase. So basically what we're going to be doing is targeting some of the pathways. One of them is called the WENT1 pathway, which speeds up the rate of hair growth, and it increases the growth of the follicle, basically. The things that we want to look at in terms of diet and health are things that could be causing inflammation. all over the body. So we want to take a look at those things. And a lot of times it may be things that we're not really even aware are upsetting our system. Things such as some dairy products, a lot of genetically modified foods can be impacting a person's endocrine system over time. If there's a lot of chemicals in a person's body and that they're sensitive to, even hair color. Sometimes people think, I've been using this hair color for 25 years, but it becomes allergic. Primarily because our bodies aren't as healthy as they used to be. We're exposed to a lot of chemicals, and trust your gut. If there's a lot of chemicals in something, it's probably not wise to be putting on your head. So I often make recommendations as to alternative colors for hair for women and men, and looking at ways that we can basically cut out so many chemicals that are being kind of poured into our environment. When you're going to if you're going to be looking for a protocol, be really careful about what's in it. Sometimes they have side effects that you don't know about. So do your research. That's not to say that everything that you find online is unsafe, but a lot of times they're not the safest thing. And you may or may not know what you're putting into your system. And just because you can buy it online and someone says it's safe to use, it's not always. So the problem with hair loss is that there's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there. I personally, this is all I do all day long, is see people with hair loss, all types of hair loss. And I'm very committed to helping people get results, to get their life back. And basically, when you're having a hair loss problem, it's really painful. And I have dealt with it, and I have people that I see every day. And my hope is to be able to give them a solution without affecting their system, without overloading it with toxins or surgery or invasive methods. And I really feel that we've come to some just stellar research and a really effective way to treat people. So next time I see you, we'll talk about another subject matter. But today, I hope it's been helpful for you to learn a little bit about peptides. If you'd like to learn more, you can always reach out to me, or you can go onto our website, which is Cellustrious, CELLUSTRIOUS.com, and learn more. If you're in an area where one of our physicians is offering Cellustrious, we're happy to help guide you to someone. And if there's not anyone in your area, give us a call anyway. We may be able to hook you up with someone that is potentially going to be offering the service. My goal is to get it to as many people as I can without them having to resort to things like finasteride or using chemical compounds. My goal is to make it as simple as possible for you to get your hair back and feel better without overloading the system with more toxins or more invasive treatments, but one that actually works. And in the 1,000 people I've treated, we've had really good success, meaning new growth without any kind of side effects. So that's it for today. Hope it was a little helpful for you to learn a little bit about peptides. You can always go on and do more research for yourself, or you can reach out to us and we're happy to answer any questions, give you what's in our peptide base, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you. Thanks, and have a great day. If you're interested in learning more about our training, treatments, or products, go to Cellustrious.com. Cellustrious, CELLUSTRIOUS. We'd love to get your feedback, so leave us a review of the podcast. And until next time, be well, and remember, hair loss is a symptom, not a diagnosis.